Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's very special session. We call it Andy Rich Teaches Sree. If you want to sell something, solve something. That's Andy Rich. I'm Sree Srinivasan. So grateful to all of you for being here. I'm coming to you from Manhattan near the UN, and Andy's coming to us just outside Philadelphia. Andy is someone I have met and already admired because he does something really important. He teaches people about selling things, but also solving things. And that connection is so important in today's age. A word about why I think it's important that everyone understands sales, biz dev, the different words for this. We're so flooded, as we know, with information, tools, fast moving technology. But amid all of this change, there's one timeless foundational human skill that separates who get their ideas off the ground and those who stay stuck: the ability to sell. And by selling, I mean selling products, services, ideas, your nonprofit, your startup, all of that, because selling is a definitive 21st century skill. So that's why our session is called Andy Rich Teaches Sree. If you want to sell something, solve something. We're talking about the old school aggressive transactional selling. We're talking about modern solution selling, understanding human behavior, building disciplined processes, and solving real problems. My goal today is to learn alongside you, ask the tough questions, and uncover the systems we can use to pitch our ideas, products, and services with total confidence. So let me tell you a little bit about Andy, and then we'll get started. Andy is the president of Sandler of Greater Philadelphia and the founder of Biz Dev 3.0. I want to hear what the first two versions of Biz Dev are. He's a master sales trainer and strategist who spent decades helping B2B CEOs, startups, and Fortune 500 companies build predictable revenue engines. His track record speaks for itself. He has served as chief sales officer for Harris Interactive, where he managed a 176 million dollar professional services sales organization and helped scale the company before its acquisition by Nielsen. He opened the US operations for Update CRM, leading it to a successful acquisition, and personally generated over $45 million in sales in just 4 years during his time at Hillrom. He also sits on the board of directors of Philadelphia 100. But what I most love about Andy's philosophy is his core belief. Most people don't have a talent problem, they have a process and behavior problem. There's nothing soft about these skills. Process scales, guessing doesn't. Please welcome Andy Rich.
My pleasure to be there. I actually sound pretty good in that introduction. That's I was liking that. But it's all about what you do today, right? So thank you for inviting me today, Sree.
Thank you, Andy. I'm here to learn. We're here to learn. I want to just thank you for just being generous with your time and sharing your thoughts today. So let's get started. What is a master sales trainer and strategist?
I spent 35 years training. One of the most important, or not training, I'm sorry, selling. And my swan song here is in sales training and strategy. And that's gravitated me because I came up through and started three companies of my own. Unfortunately, that's gravitated to the founder situation. They are both small in nature and have no money in nature. So I don't know why I'm doing this, but I support many a founder in their journey, help them look at the right things, help them look at the specialty that I have, which is selling, which they're not going to get where they want to go until they do that. So that's why I'm here today. And I think a master sales trainer in this case is also a business plan maker because in the beginning, if you don't sell your capital, you're nowhere. You are a virtuoso and you've got a great idea, but you are not going anywhere. And the idea of scaling really comes, first you have to have employees to do that. So that's why I talk about process so much, right? I build it around the process that David Sandler came up with 50 years ago, and our team continues to refine year after year. It's all about the process, Sree.
And the process means paying attention, learning, listening. So let's start with a basic question. I called selling a 21st century core skill, a superpower you need. A, do you agree? I think you do. And are people born with that? Can they learn it? Are some people better at it than others?
Well, that's a varied answer just by the nature of the question. But um, listen, if you want to be an elite salesperson, and we can talk about what sales is, whether you're selling ideas, whether you're selling solutions, whether you're selling capital in your company, um, they're all selling in different forms. Yet I'm sure we're going to get to the point of, as the preamble conversation comes to, nobody likes to be thought of or called a salesperson. So we have this uh, big cranberry S on our front, just like the Scarlet Letter. Um, we have this bad image, and I'll admit to it, but it's also something that we are doing a great job getting beyond. So um, I don't know if that answers your question. Did I hit on it well enough?
A little bit, but just I want to dig in. So, what do you mean the Scarlet S? So, you're saying that people look down on sales folks, even though there's no business without sales. People think that sales is somebody else's problem, and that person is too aggressive, they think of kind of door-to-door sales. They think about the person in Macy's when you walk by spraying you with perfume. Is that what you mean by like sales overall? Like that's problematic? Those are what you mean by problematic salespeople?
Well, Shree, part of the reason why people don't want to become a salesperson is because of the classic salesperson. They have cringy in their mind about who they are. And you created some of those images there. Um, that'll crush you in business because if you're not selling ideas to your employees, if you're an engineer nowadays,
Mhm.
you're selling your design, you're selling your technical judgment, right? You're selling your vision of what this thing's going to look like at the end. You may not have that on your business card, but if you're not selling those things, you're dead in the water. You have very little value in the situation. So, in one way, I think people have to really get over it. Um, and I think there's probably some images that have been generated from early in life. We learn these things early in life. I think it's a shame because although the word sales kind of intimidates some people to say it, to do it, to watch some others do it, um, it's a very, very important part of our lives in business specifically.
I,
So,
I I completely agree. And as somebody who doesn't have the word title of the sales in my title, as somebody who runs a small business, I'm a founder of a small business, we have to sell all the time. And
yeah.
we're selling to new clients, we're selling to current clients, we're selling to future clients, we're selling internally. I have to sell at home to let my family give me permission to do things, right? Like we're
Yeah.
selling all the time. And I compare it to marketing, Andy. Marketing is another word that people don't like to say. I'm not a marketer, but you have to be a marketer. And you made a very important point. You're selling internally in organizations as much as you're selling externally. I was blessed to be the chief digital officer of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I had 70 people working for me. So I like to say that yes, I was the head of the department, but I was not the boss because you've got to get people's buy-in for so many things.
It's absolutely right. Unfortunately, it's just one of those words that's anchored in a bad experience. And, one of the things that about this salesperson thing, one of the things that Sandler got into his business for and developed sales training was because he inherited his dad's company and he was thrust into a sales position. And he hated it. He stunk at it. He hated watching people do it. He cringed and um, eh, he said to himself, I want to make this a professional thing. I want to be a professional. I like this, but it's not professional enough for me to espouse to my people or, the greater world at that point. But, listen, think about the professional, right? You had a professional, say a doctor that you work with or a lawyer you worked with. If you had a bad experience with them, you would remember it. You would remember the courtroom. You'd remember what he was wearing. You would remember how badly you felt when you lost the court case. That's a bad experience with a professional. People don't have that opportunity to have that experience all the time. I'm glad I haven't had a bad experience with a surgeon. That might be fatal, right? But they have opportunities to interact with bad salespeople all the time. People who are not professional, who don't respect one another's time, who don't want to hear their opinion as a buyer. They just want to say how great their product is, right? If a surgeon left you in that type of shape, he wouldn't be a very good professional either.
Mhm.
So our mission is to kind of bring up the standards of communication, which salespeople are responsible for, leave them with an answer, and that answer may be yes, maybe no, maybe tomorrow. But that's why we have a process. Just like that surgeon worked for years practicing on cadavers and doing
Mhm.
such thing. And the courtroom, the lawyer did it in the mock room, but most salespeople are going from their hip, as they say. They're shooting from their hip. So that's the problem that we have to turn around.
Yes, and you were helping us right away, just that kind of mind shift. So uh, we obviously are talking to you so we can learn, but we know that there are so many things people do wrong. So is it easier to learn via some tips on things that people do wrong first, or do you like to give kind of positive examples of things people can do?
Uh, awesome question. If somebody says, "Hey, got my son, he's graduating from college. I really wish you'd give him a good shot of this." I'd be like, "Dude, this is what we do. We get him a sales job and we get him to swing at it for a while, and he'll realize how futile it is without doing certain things." So this is not a magic pill situation. I don't sell those. Most of my clients stay with me over a year. It's just like a college class because if you don't reinforce and recreate the next step and do that actively, proactively, then you're practicing in front of your clients, which usually is a bad idea. So there's a lot to be learned from the process. I could take somebody who's way outside the bounds of what a traditional salesperson might be. And you heard you said it first, but the process is what it's all about, right? It's a extremely important part of what it's all about.
And of course, it's something you worked on and trained yourself. So just as I wouldn't tell a doctor to just give me all their secrets, we're not going to ask you to do that. But some tips, some things that people can start in their daily lives to work to make this work and help them get on this journey of becoming better at sales.
Wow, totally unfair, but you're supposed to laugh at that. Totally unfair.
No, I was thinking, yeah, totally. I thought I misheard you. I thought you said totally fair. So.
um, so listen, it's a interactive sport.
Mhm.
So um, you get paid for the amount you listen
Mhm.
uh, more than the amount you speak. In fact, we say you're talking 70 or 30% of the time, they're talking 70% of the time. How are you going to learn what their problems and needs and interests are to vet out whether they're worth selling to, whether they're even qualified? Um, A lot of people hate fast talking, ridiculously, you know, pressurized talking out of salespeople. Um, that's because the person that they care about the most is quiet and listening. What they care about is their needs, and that's why we got together on this sales appointment to begin with. So, if you had one thing out of the gates, you got to learn to stop talking, ask a question that's relevant to helping understand what they need and want, and then shut up and listen because they're going to tell you the key. They're going to walk into a situation that smacks of why you got together today, a problem, a concern, an inconsistency, a pain that they have that is going to get you guys together because in essence, if there is no pain, if there's no compelling reason to change, and that change means in this case conversion of a sale, they won't. And you're not going to find that out by talking. You're going to find that out by listening and asking the right questions.
I love that. In terms of how you're looking at the world now with AI, it seems like as a founder, I'm bombarded with sales folks reaching out. Some of them are probably bots, but the thing that occurs to me is that they know a little bit. They've done some research and say, Sree, you're good at your Digimentors is doing amazing work. It's kind of sucking up in a bad way. And we've got a solution for you, they say, or we can help you. We've made this video for you. Some of it sounds so badly produced. So what are your tips on how to do outreach in that sense? Like, have you gotten this as a CEO yourself? Do you get these kinds of pitches?
Of course, and I love the application of AI, and we work with it in our solutions as well. But they're making a claim that is absolutely senseless and stupid and potentially way wrong. They know nothing about you, Sree.
Mhm.
They have no idea how you use it now and whether that's failing or part of it's failing or whether it's working just fine. They have no idea how much money you have going towards this. So if I'm doing outreach, I'm going to the place where the type of fish I want, that pond. That's where I'm going. I'm not going to any pond. Today I'm going to go to these five and the next five and whatever. You go where your ideal customer profile is. And you know what? You're a founder. You got a limited amount of money. You got a limited amount of time. Okay. And you're probably not representing retirement for me if I sell you as the biggest sale of my life. So why am I even calling you? Is the question. If they got something that's really that good and helps somebody scale, it's got to be a scalable situation. So I shouldn't be trying. We talked about this. You want to know who can sell anything to anybody? I don't know,
Mhm.
but if they're wasting their time trying to do that, they're a very poor, uncompensated person. And it's crazy. You need to find somebody and develop in their mind the realization that they have a problem. And if the problem persists, XYZ happens, and that pain is endurable, right? So now it's time to talk. It's not, I mean, bots and whatever, they're all beautiful things, but if you can't interact personally, um, if you can't interact personally, learn how to, uh, qualify individuals. And with that tree, I have no idea how you use it now. So if you came to me and said, "Do you have a good training program for me?" I'm like, I don't know.
Mm. It's so interesting.
Probably, maybe.
Yeah.
But if I say yes, I'd be lying, right?
Mhm.
Is it going to work for you? Do you have the time? Do you have the money?
Mhm.
Right? Is this something you can commit to long term?
Right.
So
So can I ask you about your how you sell your program, your process? What are some things that you do when you meet founders and others? So talk us through that a little bit.
So a lot of my business goes to mid-sized companies because first of all, their problems that I'm used to solving, their individual problems. Secondly, it gives me a nice wage, a good earning. My heart goes out to the founders. Uh, I network with a lot. We all know together. We know James Baroud,
Yes, he's
and he
great.
runs the innovation for pretty much New Jersey. But
Yes.
um, if I'm in those rooms, I'm probably in the wrong place. I should be with people that have 5 to 25 salespeople who have 5 million to 150 million as a company,
Hmm.
that have a certain business vertical. Tech is great for me. Insurance is great for me. IT consulting, management consulting, marketing research, marketing, all those are good for me. If you want to go outside of that stuff, it's not as great. So if I can't concentrate on everything, so I want to concentrate on the ones that I know I can knock out of the ballpark, and it makes sense for me. Clear out all the crap and go after those that you have as a target. And message from there, Mr. Marketer. We know how to message, so right.
Uh,
Does that
yeah,
make sense?
it makes sense, and I think that's really important. Are there people who you find are born with some talent that you can kind of add to and improve them? Are there people like that? And are there any examples of people who thought they were really good and you kind of helped them understand the reality of things?
I mean, there's all kinds. Like, for instance, if there's that born salesperson, and there are some, um, but you know what? They stink at managing salespeople. They have no clue how to teach them. So how are they going to scale? I mean, yeah, he'll retire as the greatest salesperson in the world, but if he doesn't have a process that can be repeated, he's
Mhm.
got nothing from a sales leadership standpoint. And that CEO is so far away from where he's going to be. That's okay. I might
Mhm.
never get him in class, but
Mhm.
me trying to do one of his things, first of all, I know it's reckless and probably off base, but um, I wouldn't try.
Yeah.
So again, back to, I'm glad you brought it up first. Now I can abuse it. Back to the process,
Yeah.
right? There's people that are at all levels of selling. What I can tell you is um, the old is forever new. If you have salespeople that are really committed to continue learning, we're all going to forget things. We're all going to remember them in class and go, oh my God, what am I doing? I missed that. It's back to the gym. We have to do the workouts and the training and drink the milkshakes. And it's awesome to take a salesperson, bring them into class, and just come in to see us. I'm constantly like my 50-year-old, 55, 45 up there. We know everything. We've done it for so many years. I get them in the class, Sree, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I've been missing this. I remember this. I learned it when I first." The old is forever new.
I love it. All right, we have about 20 minutes or so, and I have lots of things I want to ask you.
Sure.
In your work, you talk about moving away from heroic selling towards kind of predictable systems, the process, you mentioned that. What does that mean for an individual creator, small business owner who relies on sporadic bursts of energy to get things done? You can use that as an example. Similar question if you're a nonprofit and you're constantly selling the idea you want people to be volunteers, you want people to join as a member, you want people to donate. You want them
Yeah.
to join your board. So talk about those couple of examples, and then I have other questions too.
So you asked me too many questions at once. So you can raise your hand and say shut up, or just raise your hand to stop me because I'll have to answer all of those.
So wait, so that's a
Just
good point. So if I may reflect on your coaching me right now, that
you
I shouldn't, as somebody who's trying to sell or talk to a client, I should not ask too many questions at the same time. I should ask a question, give them time to speak, and then ask the other. Is that correct?
that's correct. I would have had to fire you, but I'm glad you picked up on that. So to cover on that one issue right now, when somebody answers his own question or talks beyond the question, the person that they're interacting with uh, discounts it. I don't have to answer it because he already asked it, or he found a better question or a better one. So we need to ask the question and shut up, as I was saying earlier in the conversation. Sporadic bursts and heroism, they are important for only the period of time where you sit alone in that office. Once you have a teammate, um, as a CEO or a founder, you need to understand what his capability is and get him working on the process you want him to work on, whether it's sales, whatever it might be. But it's so important to realize that guys with a Superman S on their chest, heroism, you cannot scale that. It's not possible. These heroes are great, and they're better than me. But I am much more scalable. You take 8 of me, those 8 guys he couldn't, men and women he couldn't train well because he didn't have that process. He got it naturally. Um, I'm all of a sudden a leader now. I've got 2 people. I'm a leader, right? So once you've got 2 in the house, we need to be understanding each other's capabilities. And I think to back up and say, hey, once you become a founder and you're looking for some money, I mean, heroes don't get money. They want to know you can build a company, right? You can't be spinning all the plates. The owner reliance is 100% in that case. So again, process, right? And if you don't have that process, you're not going to get any capital. Nobody's going to look at you and say, I'm going to invest. When they say I'm going to invest in Sree, they mean as a CEO. They don't mean as a hero guy. Now, you try to scale that without a process, those 8 salespeople, you don't know what you're getting every month. In your CRM, it's going to be a lie because it's always going to be less than what you actually predict. And so Wall Street hates unpredictability. So do small time investors, right?
Sure.
So, yeah. And that second, third, fourth, and fifth question, what were they?
No. So that you said for small investors, so that applies to people who have businesses of any kind or nonprofits as well. Well, one of the hardest parts of promoting or an idea or product is chasing people who are never going to buy or what people call a hopeful deal that you're chasing, right? How
Yeah.
can we learn to confidently disqualify non-buyers early so we can protect our time?
Love the quantifying or the qualifying in that statement that are confidently, disqualified. I think, first of all, the thing about confidently disqualifying is if you don't have anything else in your pipeline, you're going to hug that thing like it's a baby blanket and not let anything go. You're going to do what you have to do, dance, sing, try to get them across the goal line. But it doesn't work. It's like pushing a string, right? It's not happening. So the first thing is to make sure you have an enriched pipeline. You've got to do your prospecting, whatever that looks like to you. And we have all kinds of ways at Sandler to help you get there. But you need to have you need to have opportunities in your pipeline to expect to do anything confidently. And when you do, it's amazing how confident you can be. Um, Attitude, behavior, and technique. Those are the triangle for us at Sandler. Um, so, yeah, does that answer the
It
fourth
does.
and
Yeah, fourth
uh,
and fifth question.
yeah?
Here's a
And so
question.
here I didn't answer qualifying much, but so let me address that really quickly. In Sandler, there's 3 things that help you decide whether or not you're gonna disqualify the customer or not. If they don't have any pain, it's a no-go. We're going nowhere. I'm going to cut the sale there. Okay. Not to chase, not to, because there's not a lot of opportunity at all. Second thing is if they don't have the budget, or the willingness to invest time, effort, software, resources, whatever into this thing, that's another out. And the third one is if the decision-making process is too complex, too long, too contrived, I'm going to decide it's not what I want to do with my time. So in all the three of those cases, we've disqualified the client. So we've done this before we talk about even thinking about presenting or proposing to their solution. Because if they don't have it, there's no reason for us to go further.
Sure. We have again just about 15 minutes with Andy Rich, who is a master sales trainer, has already trained me, got some good ideas today, just a little bit part of his whole process that we will, before we end, we'll ask him how people can sign up, how they can learn about the process. But we mentioned the name Sandler many times, so I just want to mention David Sandler. He's the founder of the Sandler Selling System. And in 1966, he started working in the sales world. And what's interesting is that I read, Andy, that he didn't get into selling till 36, till the age of 36. And then he's built this whole system, and you run the Philadelphia part of it, and he's trained 50,000 clients and companies. So what have you learn that you can share? Like, why did you sign up with Sandler, right? They sold you on this. David sold you and him. But David must be pretty much, is he still working daily? He must be, an older gentleman.
Yeah, he's rest in peace. He's moved on to a greater goal. But he was a pretty amazing
So
guy.
I apologize for not knowing that he's no longer with us. I'm
Uh,
sorry.
no problem. I never actually personally knew him.
Okay.
We're like a cult here. Our clients, our students, he lives and breathes through what we do and what we believe in. So no sweat at all. But
Mhm.
Sandler gave us a bunch of things that made me buy into it. Number one, we have a methodology that's just rock solid. And when we talk about processes, I guess that's the best way to look at it, a methodology, a paint by numbers step. I told you before I present anything, I qualify people out. That's a rule. That's the way it works. So the methodology is really strong. I know where I am, and if I don't know where I am, I have a question to ask, and I know where I'm going next. And if the buyer blows that up, I have defer to another set of questions or interactions. That's really important. I was talking to somebody the other day. My wife does Sudoku. I don't know if you do that, but she's a brainiac who will never get.
Bad at it. She does it better than me, I'm sure.
Oh, she crushes it. And of course, there's people that used to love to do the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
So a methodology has to be strong because in a Rubik's Cube, you can do that in your favorite chair with no distractions. It's a tough process, but you have a process. Same thing with Sudoku. You have to have a process that's still tough. But when you put yourself in an interactive situation where the game is literally changing depending on what the client says, you need to be able to fall back on some things that are coming naturally in the conversation, that are taking you to the next step, that are recovering and getting a commitment to move forward. You got to be kind of ready to take all the shrapnel that a situation like that, has, right? So it's in that case, I'd say the third thing that strikes me is everything is built in psychology, human psychology. So much of this interaction is human psychology that we teach, and it works. Is it manipulative? Only if you use it that way. If you do it the correct way, we're like psychiatrists. They're using psychology to help people get what they want. This is not some sort of mystical, contrived, manipulative process. This is helping people understand what they need and deciding to do it or not. Um, and we also, two other differences. Number one, we believe in reinforcement. You can't learn this in a Saturday afternoon seminar. It is something you have to practice and fail and practice and prepare and fail until you get to the point where you're batting 333. You're never going to bat 100 because you're qualifying people out. So, and lastly is uh, a lot of sales methodologies, they're great reads. They are great reads. They tell you what to do. They just don't tell you how to do it. We spend a
Mm,
lot of time on how do I pull this thing off. So that's a little bit about Sandler and his differences. We've got 400 trainers. Other companies are of much smaller sizes, 1/20th,
sure,
so to speak.
sure.
So yeah,
Yeah, no,
I
this
digress.
is super helpful. I think that many of us think that you can learn to sell. Well, once you've gotten over the hump of I don't want to sell, once you learn you have to sell, then learning that it can't be done so effortlessly. One thing that many professionals feel that they're at the mercy of their clients and their audiences, like if as a newsletter publisher, for example, and that's really frustrating to folks. You've talked about the process and gaining control of the process. What is one practical boundary or behavior change someone can implement today to stop chasing and start leading the conversation?
Wow. Here's an interesting one. Um, since the person who's asking the questions is in control of the conversation, I'm sure you'd agree that with that, right?
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
a young child, we're taught to answer questions, especially to authority, to the teacher, to mom and dad, maybe not some stranger or somebody who's less relevant, but we're taught that. So we have a knee-jerk reaction to answer every question. Answering every question may take you on the longest ride of your life, way away of what's going on and what needs to be figured out. You need to be able to focus it. So we call it a reverse. If I need to clarify where you're going, if what you're saying doesn't make sense to me, I won't be able to help you, right? So let's use a question to clarify where you want to go. Um, Also, since we already brought it up, asking questions, you're in control now. It's your game plan, Sree. So our methodology is our game plan. And up front, we have something called the upfront contract. Before the conversation really starts, we do an upfront contract, which is kind of like setting the rules for the game. You remember playing whipple ball in the
Mhm.
street? First base was the Impala, the red Impala. Second base,
Mhm.
we threw down a piece of newspaper. Third base was a tree, right? And since we can't like field ground balls and get it to first base, we don't have a first baseman. You get it on one hop, it's an out. So we do this too in selling. We set up the interview so it's okay. I understand how we're going to interact, and in some cases, we, in some cases, many cases, we set it up so they have a very, very strong feeling that they can own the conversation. They can do what they want. And that's okay within the bounds that we decide together. Now, a lot of times people will sit down. It's a obvious one that when you sit down as a salesperson, you ask or tell about an agenda. Um, we do that as well, but we go on to say to one another at the end of the conversation, you may decide this is not a fit, Sree, and that's okay. Or I may decide I'm not the best resource for you. But if we decide we're headed towards a good solution, we can go ahead and set another appointment and then talk about the agenda. Does that sound fair?
It sounds very fair. It sounds very fair. You mentioned a couple of baseball analogies there. I like the wiffle ball and thinking about the area. You also mentioned batting 300. And since we have some
Yeah.
international people who may not know I mean, so not know baseball, batting 300 means that you strike out one, I mean, you hit the ball, you put it in play safely once every three times. That means you
Yeah.
fail two out of three times. So that's
Yes.
why they say baseball is so hard that if you can hit one out of three times, you'll be a millionaire. right? And
Yeah.
if you can, oh no, in fact, more than a million, you'll be a multimillionaire if you can do that. Hitting a round ball with a round bat, you can be a millionaire, a multimillionaire if you can do that. That's how hard baseball is. So are you saying that sales is also that hard, that you can't really hit 300? It's that hard to hit 300.
Yeah, it is, Sree. And if you're hitting 333, that's good. I mean, every sale, every product, there's different issues, but yeah, I mean, and we teach you, you should not expect to hit 1,000 or 500 even,
Mhm.
because those are the numbers, right? Those are the numbers. We talked about the behavior part of the
Mhm.
triangle. You got to make 10 calls to get three appointments. You got to have three appointments to get one presentation, and so on and so on and so on. If you build that cookbook, as we call it, um, and you adjust it, you know what you can predict. No heroism. I know I'm going to get one sale out of every 10 calls. Put it that way. That fair?
Yeah, I understand that. That's 1 out of 10. But that's because you're so good. I think for others that'll be even harder. You said something in LinkedIn, and we're going to show everyone your LinkedIn in a moment because I want everyone to to follow you and reach out. You said dangerously self-educated buyers. What does that mean? And how can we deal with these people?
Yeah. So I think we can all conceive the fact that if you're a salesperson walking in, they've decided to give you time. They've also looked at every possible thing, like your LinkedIn, like your web page, like ChatGPT, like the police blotter, the record there. You have done your homework. So somebody who's done their homework, even if they're pretty smart person, they may not be trained in deciphering some of the information that's relevant to this person. If you're part of the company and you're selling solutions, there's not a lot of people that know how to do that, take that expertise and apply it. So they're dangerous because they may have a package and a price, but they don't have no idea whether one package or not will work for them. So if they have this concept, and especially if they come in there cocky or overconfident, or I want to beat up on this salesperson, and some people do. It's sad. I don't know what they do with the rest of their life, but it must be pretty miserable. Um, the bottom line is, it doesn't matter unless they have a problem you can solve as a salesperson. It doesn't matter. So all this stuff, all this information, it could be all awesome. Features and benefits. You could come out of the gates and tell them about all the things that your product can do. And it could be a superior product, but it may not be able to do the three things you expect it and want it and need it to do well. And if that can't be parsed out and figured out, they're not going to get what they need. So they're dangerously overeducated because of the fact that they may not get what they want, what they need. That's my
That's
old
so
ball coach, Jack
Yeah, I
Daniels.
like that. And I also like how you talk about the importance of storytelling, right? The communication, storytelling, and you post them on your LinkedIn. So I want everybody to go into LinkedIn, find Andy Rich. If you type in Andy Rich Sales, he comes in. But I've also put in the link, and we'll link for everybody as well. Here you're taking out a story about Jack Daniels, Coach Jack Daniels, not the alcohol Jack Daniels.
No.
Maybe there's some lessons there, and people
Hey,
can read
go,
about you. Go back. Go ahead.
yeah, go to the right. Go next one.
Mhm.
Right there. Good. See, click in on that. That was done at the Princeton University Innovation Conference.
Okay.
And long story short, I had on my badge fueler. It said fueler.
Mm.
And the what that basically means is um, supporters, mentors, operators, teachers. I'm a fueler in the innovation system around Princeton. Like I said, it's not. It's my love child. It's not my work child. It doesn't work at all. But now some of them do. But I'm open to speaking to them all because I support this. I needed help back in the day, so I'm open for business.
I love that fueler. What a great concept. We only have a couple of minutes left with you, Andy. We're so grateful. I've learned so much already. I want to ask you in terms of where people can go, what can they change in them? What's one thing if you had to assign a homework piece of homework to me or everyone watching the podcast, what is one behavioral assignment you would give me to become better at selling ideas, services, connection, attention, selling getting people's attention things is so hard as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking that. And I love the word behavior in this situation.
Mhm.
It's probably not going to be what you expect me to say,
Mhm.
but you got to take action. That doesn't mean writing a blast email. That's not what I'm
Mhm.
talking about.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, get out to the conferences. There's one going on today in Skillman, the NJ Summit. Jim Brood, our friend,
Mhm.
um, and meet people. Uh, or here's an even more foreign concept to our younger founders nowadays: pick up the phone. Okay. Now, I will tell you this, it's extremely important, even as in this day and age, because I tell you, it's now a pattern interrupt. People are picking up the phone because nobody calls like they used to. So they're
Mhm.
picking them up. I'm getting really good luck with that. So, whether it's going out to those places, because right now, if you need financing, if you need cash, investment, you got to to the ponds where they are. And if you're sitting at home scheming about it, or sitting at home saying, I don't want to be a sales guy, I'm going to wait till somebody else raises the capital in the company, and then I'll do what I do best. I'm sorry, but you're destined for failure. You need to be the leader of the band and not think that you can assign that for a good while. So you need to take action. That's the behavior. Take action, pick up the phone, get out there and talk to people.
I love it. All right, last question before you go. Early in your career, you founded the Metropolitan Golfers Club, raised private capital, generated $1.2 million in revenue from scratch. And it'd be fair to say it was some time ago. What is the single most important sales lesson from that time that still applies today?
Well, to some extent, you just heard it. But in that case, imagine this: there were no founders conferences. That stuff didn't happen. There was no internet where I could, do a mass email. I couldn't do that. I didn't have podcasts. I didn't have the place to go. Entrepreneurs right now, they know the places to go. It's their fault they're not there. And
Wow.
going after it with a bold onslaught. But Sree, I'm running into country clubs unwelcome into the bar room saying, dude, I got this idea for you.
That's
Like,
what you had to do. That's what you had to do. Yeah. Yeah.
it's what you have to do. So I mean, it's if you believe in it, then people will see that. I think it depends on where you are, whether you're at the I mean, when you're in business, a lot of things can go on momentum. Right now, we have to create inertia. We have to
Mm.
create inertia before we have momentum. And that's how to get the party started. Get out to the quote unquote country clubs and talk to people that know about the sport that you're talking about and doing about, that are a consumer of what you do, right? Of what you're proposing, that understands the problems. Get out and connect with them. They're going to appreciate that. They only pick up 20% of their emails,
Mhm.
right? That's all
Yeah.
they do.
Right.
So,
So I know that I want to give you a chance before we're out of time for you, but anything you want people to know, anything you'd like to promote, we've obviously going to send everybody your LinkedIn, but anything else you'd like us to do and talk to folks about?
yeah, so if today was interesting but um not as helpful to your next step, I do actually have one tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I do executive briefings that try to take the crowd, understand what their issues are, their sales challenges are, and address them through, as you might guess, the methodology in short order. And if that makes sense to them, most people sign up because it's in their world and they understand it. So if you're not sure it's in your world or you're not sure it's appropriate or applicable, that'd be a great way to do it. Give us your name. I don't know if Sree, you're collecting them. If you're watching this on if you're watching this on video afterwards, I do have my web page, LinkedIn, my
So is LinkedIn the easiest way for them? They can then email, they can just message you inside email. I mean, inside LinkedIn. Do you have an email address you want to share?
yeah, email address would be andy.rich
Mm-hmm.
at sandler.com.
That's easy.
So
Andy.rich@sandler.com. We will give
it
that to
is
everybody
easy.
along with your LinkedIn page. And we are so grateful to you, Andy, for uh, taking a chance on based on a quick encounter we had at an event. You were so friendly and so open. You were just helping your friend there. You were not selling anything, but I was so struck by here's somebody helping a friend at a business conference. And I was struck by that. And I got to know you just very quickly. And I mentioned this podcast, and you said you're going to come and help. And you more than lived up to everything that I had hoped for. And I'm very, very grateful. We're going to encourage people to reach out to you, to connect with you. Thank you very much, Andy.
You're very kind. I appreciate Shree, and it's been a fun time for me. So thank you.
Thank you. And we know you got to go. I give you 15 seconds before you had to leave. So Doug is saying thank you as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you,
You'll
Andy. Do
be,
people call you Rich by accident?
yes, all the time.
Two first names. That's the problem.
Good thing I can't say your last name or I'd call you it right now. Be good. Take care.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you very much, folks. That was Andy Rich, and this is the first of many sessions that I hope to host with you that I will be hosting. And we are able to do this because of the generosity of those who have become members of the newsletter, the paid newsletter. And so thank you everybody for watching. I see Rupa says is clapping. Doug was also saying great show. We are doing these smaller salons, and Doug, thank you for your applause. We just had two people watching, but the idea is that we can have folks asking questions of of some of the interesting people I know, and I want to learn something along the way. It's also I want to shout out Pablo Torre, the journalist who created Pablo Torre Finds Out. I should have, so I can't do Sree Finds Out, but Sree Learns is the idea of this. And so it's going to be somebody teaches Sree something is the idea of these. And occasionally I'll have guest hosts, depending on the topic, working with me as well. And I want your feedback. I want to know what's working and what's not. If you're already a paid member of the newsletter, thank you. If you're not, I hope you will consider upgrading and becoming a paid member. We truly appreciate everybody. Goodbye and thank you. See you soon. Message me, Sree@sree.net, or through my Substack. We also have LinkedIn, everything else. And please, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit that button that lets you get notifications. That's so important. Jenny says, well done, super useful. Thank you, Jenny. And Jenny, by the way, works on biz dev with Digimentors, and we have learned so much together. I've learned from her, and it's hard, right, Jenny? To sell is hard, to get new business hard, but everything comes down to relationships, connections, etc. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.